So I think the stream should be live now.
Okay.
Mario, you can check. If you can.
Yep, stream is live and everything works fine. So yeah.
Nice. Now we're waiting for the people, and then I'm gonna say a couple of short slides here, and
I think they'll come at 5 1/4.
yeah, probably because that was the start time of the event up until very recently, where I changed it to 5:00. But just so that people can join sooner through the platform, because I realized they wouldn't be able to join. Okay, I'll remove my video for now. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about anything, and we'll probably cut this first part of the video in post-production. By the way, we have a new GDG Zagreb logo, first time shown here.
Nice.
Logo with the dinosaur and Ban Jelačić.
Yes.
Mountain and river.
Interesting. Modern Ban Jelačić.
Oh, we have some attendees. I haven't noticed. Have to scroll a bit down.
I see
Christian and Tony, welcome. If you hear us, probably can.
Hi.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Can they talk? Probably.
Probably no.
Yeah, probably not. So sorry about that. I'll definitely. Okay, let's try to enable talking now. So maybe. What if I? Okay. I mean, if anyone, maybe they don't want to talk. So if
I see
Christian,
the chat. I see the chat. Hello.
Oh yeah, hi.
Okay.
Hi guys. If you want to talk, yeah, try to using that raise hand button, and we'll enable you. But if you don't want to talk, it's okay. Cool. Antonio's also here. And yeah, this maybe you're not familiar with the platform. This is Google's Bevy platform for virtual meetups. We're also streaming to YouTube, but we're still waiting for people to join, and then we'll officially start with a couple of words from us, and then Bruna and Josephine. Hello, Yuri. If you want to say something, use that raise hand button at the bottom if you see it. If you don't, you can type in the chat or you can just watch. Just saying all the options here. We're still waiting for people to join, and then we'll start slowly.
Eight more minutes.
Yeah, 8 more minutes until the official start. Oh, Petra has joined also. So, is there anyone here for whom this is the first GDG Zagreb event? Or have you been here before? So, if it's the first one, please type in the chat. First, wow, Jure, welcome. Oh, Christian, also first. Nice. That's cool to see. So yeah, we usually do events once a month, mostly live, but sometimes we do an online event. And once a year we do a huge event that's called DevFest. You can follow us on. I'll paste a link to our maybe LinkedIn page or Twitter. I'll paste to LinkedIn, and then we have the link tree. So Marco maybe or someone who has the link tree link can share that where you have all the links. But yeah, that's Linktree. Yeah, so you can follow us everywhere and be up to date with events. See pictures from previous events, stuff like that. If someone is interested in further, then next event that we're having is in a week with Flutter Croatia community. We're gonna have one that's a live event at Algebra University. I mean, I should say maybe Algebra, but it's a Croatian company, so Algebra. Algebra. Uh, yeah. Okay, we have a question for for our new attendees here. Can you type in the chat? How did you find out about this event, and how did you find out about GDG in general? And welcome, Marco, another attendee. Marco, if you wanna say something, we're still waiting to officially start the event, but if you wanna talk, you can raise hand. But otherwise, you can type in the chat. Let us know how did you find us. And 2 more minutes to go, and then I'll start talking about something in the slides. And that's gonna be very short. Juraj, about through Discord. Is this through GDG Croatia Discord or just through some other Discord?
Or maybe Flutter Discord. Or
Maybe Flutter Croatia.
yeah, who knows?
But I'm not sure. Have we mentioned? GDG Discord. Yeah.
That's nice.
We should be more active on the GDG Croatia Discord. We're trying. Marco is trying very hard. But yeah, in the background, a lot of stuff is happening. And a lot of engagement in Discord server. Yeah, Marco AI bot. Marco, the founder of GDG. Okay. Maybe I can start now. Uh, so yeah, we have a second slide without starting soon. So welcome to the Inclusive Tech event from GDG Zagreb. This is our new logo with Banja Ocic and Google Dinosaur and Medvednica, and try to put as much stuff as possible here. And this event is a part of GDG series called Building for Everyone. After the event, we promised that we're gonna have a Kahoot quiz and giveaway, but unfortunately, due to some technical issues with GDG Europe, we don't have access to Kahoot currently. So we're gonna do a giveaway anyways. So after the event, you should receive like a post-event survey or something that you fill out the form, and then we're gonna randomly award you with some cool GDG swag. And what's gonna happen in this event? Well, we're gonna have two speakers: Bruna, who's already here, Josephine, who's still yet to come. Bruna is gonna talk about a topic with a very large title: Artificial Intelligence and Socially Assistive Robots (SAR) in Care of Older Adults. It's a very interesting topic. Bruna is a last year doctoral student in the field of robotics and AI. And after that, you're more than welcome to ask any questions that you have, either in chat or maybe by raising hand, maybe if you want to speak. But we will accept many questions. And after Bruna, there's Josephine, who hasn't yet joined, but will too, because she's on another stream at the moment. Is going to talk about accessibility with title Beyond Compliance, Testing for a more accessible web. Josephine is accessibility engineer at Storyblock. She's a GDE in web technologies. She's in Women Tech Makers. Oh, Josephine is here. Welcome. And she's an ambassador for Girl Code and speaker throughout the world. So let's go. I mean, I don't have to add anything yet. Bruna, you can take it from here. You don't have to rush. And we have time for everything.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Yep. Okay. Hello, everyone. So now I'll start to share the screen. So we will start with the presentation. Just bear with me a second. So can you see the presentation?
Currently, there's a white screen, but
again. Okay, so I'll start again.
Okay, no problem.
So
that's normal. That's always happens.
Technical always tough. Okay, now I see the presentation, so probably you will see as well.
Okay.
Can you see the presentation now?
Yeah,
Fine.
perfect.
Yes. Okay, great. So can I start?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. So I see only the presentation and no one of you. So hello everyone, and thank you GDG developers and organizers to host me for this interesting event. And hopefully there will be a lot of events in the future. So to start and to be on time, I will start with presenting the topic which I'm currently studying in England for my PhD, which is the artificial intelligence and the SARs or social robots in care of older adults. So I will open only the slideshow, so it will be. Yes, maybe better. I also posted some pictures that I took with robots, social robots, because as I'm studying the human-robot interaction, you can see here on the left-hand side, this was with the robot paper, which I will mention in one of the next slides very soon, which was at the University of Twente in the Netherlands. And the other picture or photo, which is on the right-hand side, is with the robot now, social robot, which has been taken at the University of Sheffield, which I'm currently studying this topic. So let's start. Our world is changing, as we know, in fundamental ways. Population aging is a defining global trend, and so according to the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, there were 761 million people that were aged over 65, so 65 and over in 2021. And as you can see on the right hand side, that number will reach 1.6 billion in 2050, whereas the number of people that will be 80 and over 80 will be triple of that of as of 2021, which you can see, and which is, if we can say in this way, which is a quite alarming state that we will see why I'm introducing these robots, and why these robots can be maybe a very good idea of implementing them in a care of older adults. So to get back to the topic, you can see here on the right hand side that people that will be over 80 will be, so in 2021 that was number registered as 155 million, and by 2050 it is registered to be it's forecasted, sorry, to be 459 million, which is a very large number. So if you can see on the next slide, one of the key trends, as we mentioned, is the gradual and largely shift towards older population, which is already in the process in most countries. Now you see on the left hand side again the world's oldest populations. So I need to mention a bit of the statistics. So the countries with the high share of people that will be over 65 and 65, okay, in 2022 were registered Japan with roughly 30%, then Italy at the second place, and Finland third place, and etc. And by the year 2050, so in 3 decades, Hong Kong will be the country with the highest share of people that will be age 65 and older, with roughly 41%. And the second place, South Korea, Japan, and the first European country that will be with the highest share of people is Italy, also with the 37.1%, if we want to be precise. On the right-hand side, we can see again one small table with the countries, so from 1980 to forecasted year 2050. So we see that on the first place, was Sweden, registered in 1980 with 16.3%. Japan in 2021, as we have already seen, it was with roughly 30% or so of people that were over 65. But in 3 decades, it's forecasted to be, the countries that are forecasted to be on the first place are China, Hong Kong, and South Korea. So yes, and I didn't mention, okay, Croatia was registered, if you can see, in 2021 on the 10th place, so with 22%. So it's also near other countries, but it is not that bad. So Japan is still worse. So now let's go back. Let's go on. So countries around the world will be due to a large number of older population will experience a lot of pressure and burden on social care. If you can see here again on one, let's say, infographics, 13.6 million of that's the estimated deficit of the long-term care workers. That's also one I think thing that we need to emphasize. And 80% of all long-term care in Europe is provided by the informal caregivers. So by the informal ones. So meaning that the ones who are not specialized for this. And also 1 in 3 is the number of women, which will be 65 and over, that need the long-term care, now speaking about the European Union, and one will be in 5 of men. So the big problem will be the lack of medical staff who should take care of seniors, as we can see here. So 13.6 million is the estimated deficit of the medical staff and the ones who should take care of older people. And as that will be a bigger and bigger number, that will be a huge problem, if I can say in this way. So now let's start with artificial intelligence and robotics. I will not talk about anymore about older older people, but I wanted to show you and I wanted to introduce a bit the topic so you will see why I think where the benefits of introducing the social robots and AI and where are the also disadvantages and as well as ethical challenges. So AI and robotics with digital technologies, as we already know, is transforming the society and human lives at a huge speed. And it's migrating into the field of healthcare, playing roles in diagnosis, monitoring health, clinical treatment, social interactions, and caring services. We will go more deep into it into the next slides. So I wanted to also demystify a bit of the, let's say, about the notion of AI. Everybody speaks about artificial intelligence as something that happened maybe 10, 20 years ago. In fact, that is not. Already in 1942, AI was mentioned because thanks to the Alan Turing and AI, artificial intelligence, Enigma was broken. And Enigma machine, if you're interested, I will not talk too much about this, but Enigma machine was a cipher device that was developed by the Germany, Nazi Germany back then during World War II. And thanks to Alan Turing and other researchers, they exploited some weaknesses of this implementation of Enigma code, and they have successfully deciphered this enigma. So that's something if you want to know more. And in 1956, some people say 56, not some in 55. The first notion was of AI, which was coined by John McCarthy, who mentioned this term at the Dartmouth conference. So if you want to know maybe a bit of the origin, probably a few already know this, but still I wanted to mention once again. The first chatbot was already in 1964. And what is also interesting that in 1998, it was already the first robot that was equipped with emotion, so that had already emotional intelligence. So 1998, so that is it is so 26 years ago. What else? In 1997, I think this is probably familiar to all of you, that man versus machine. So machines, IBM has beaten for the first time. So yes, the computer has beaten the chess legend Garry Kasparov. So in 1997. So that's also interesting to, I think, to mention. And then the GPT models, which today everybody is mentioning, they started to be developed, or yet they were in development already from 2020 and onwards. As we see, everything is developing very rapidly. So now, socially assistive robots. What is it, and so on. Socially assistive robots or social robots or care robots, some say these are all terms that we can call it. They're seen as a possible new emerging technology that can help now to reduce a human resource and economic pressure on the social care system and to relieve the medical staff from the repetitive tasks. We'll go more deeper into it in the next slides. So socially assistive robots are aimed to underpin the tasks in the different types of care, such as healthcare, physical and cognitive rehabilitation, therapy, and domestic daily life. And in that way, can provide the lives of older people better. So, according to Froneman et al., those are a couple of German researchers from the Stuttgart Institute of Robotics. I liked this definition. They said that social robots are robots that operate in the vicinity of human beings and are designed to interact with humans. So those are all social robots, but when we were studying also at the university in my first year, we also called it that social robots are only the ones that have embedded AI in it and the ones that can actually, let's say, actually interact with humans. So now let's go back again to a bit of the, let's go to the problems or to the challenges. So aged care has become a main area of application for socially assistive robots, which is why current ethical thinking one robots with the embedded AI in it has been mostly focused on the context of older people. And with increasing usage of the robotic technologies, the nursing and the medical staff will need to know how to utilize these technologies and how to be able to work with robots, because as the robots will be more developed, the people will also need to know how to work with them. And so circumstances and expectations, as mentioned, to implement the AI and robots into nursing care will only increase. So now we will talk about the division of robots. So let's start firstly, since I'm studying the robots in medical care, not the surgery, robots in surgery, but the robots that are taking care of older people, as you already seen. So I will talk mostly about the robots in this care, or in care homes and in hospitals. So recently the industry has shown the growing interest in developing robots to help nurses in hospitals and care homes. They're designed to function under the direct control of nurses, so meaning like human in the loop. So I'm always emphasizing also when I was doing the research with patients and medical staff that they always ask me whether these robots will replace them and that they will lose jobs. And I was always emphasizing that they will never replace those people. They can only help. So they can only assist them. So as I was saying also here, that they're designed to function always under the direct control of nurses, never, so they should never be autonomous. And robotics, so nursing assistant can act, as I said, as a teammate, and by in that way relieving nurses from repetitive tasks and giving the nurses more time and doctors to focus on more essential tasks. They can also fetch the supplies, retrieve the supplies so from the laboratory and so on. So they can do some jobs that that are repetitive, and the medical staff can do something else. And I think that I can say that that we all already seen that COVID-19 pandemic has shown has changed the world almost 360 degrees, and it has shown how vulnerable this medical staff was because of the lack of personal protective equipment. So let's start with the division. This is kind of, let's say, maybe my division of healthcare robots. So we have social robots, medical robots, assistive robots, rehabilitation robots, and service robots. So on the right-hand side, you can see one example of the social robot, which I will introduce later, and probably all of you may know about Pepper. So this is the example of the one of the most intelligent social robots today. Medical robots, the one that is on the right hand side, Moxie, if you can see, so up on the right hand side, or above, sorry, above. Assistive robots, which are just next to Pepper, which I will talk a bit later about it. Rehabilitation robots and service robots as well. But service robot can be as well Pepper, so it's very hard when people ask what kind of robot is Pepper or the other one now. I always say they can be, it depends. They can be social robot, they can be assistive, they can be rehabilitation robots, but as well service robots, because they are versatile. So then let's go on. I just wanted to ask whether everyone is okay, and do I go too fast or too slow? Is everything okay?
Sounds good to me so far.
Okay.
You can even go slower if you want because we have time.
Yes, yes, okay,
So
yes.
just continue. It's perfect.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Because I feel sometimes like I'm talking by myself, so that's why I need to check. Okay. So
Oh yeah, the
let's
rest of us are muted, so sorry.
yeah, yeah.
We can talk at the same time if you want.
Yes.
Yeah, everything is okay. So yeah.
Yeah,
At least I
everything's
know
good.
that they're alive,
Yeah.
that it's interesting. If not, then okay. So care robots, as we mentioned, so this social robot, you can see one example of the Pepper in care home. I took picture of the robot while I was doing the research 7 months ago. I don't want to bother you with this. If you, in case you'll be interested in this, I can talk for hours about this research that I was conducting for 7 months ago for 5 months or more. which I was studying. So the impact of robots, social robots, taking care of older adults at home. So the ones who are widows, unfortunately, and of the people who are in care or nursing homes. So, okay, let's go back to this slide. The vast majorities of applications are focused on monitoring, assisting older adults. So this can be plus and a minus. We will see why can be also a minus. I will talk about that a bit later on the ethical challenges and problems. And then mental health. So Pepper can be as a reminder, emotional support, motivation. Reminder is of taking medicaments, or reminder of doing the exercise, and etc. You will see one process which was shown. So I will show in the next slides. It's a huge presentation, so you'll see everything. And the physical assistance, so in delivering the items, and helping in dining, or helping in eating. I have also a couple of videos for you, so hopefully they will work. Some of them are quite long, so I can show you only each video like a minute. So hopefully they will work. So now let me introduce, so probably all of you know because you're all developers and you know everything about this probably, but still I need to introduce them once again. So Pepper and Now from the SoftBank Robotics, from the French company. I'm studying so these two robots, so their interaction, I need to interact with them and talk to them, which is sometimes quite hard. So they have a big potential in care. They can, so Pepper can serve or can be a teaching assistant for children and children with autism, and can be as a social companion. Also, he can serve as a rehabilitation. He can do recreational activities, monitor, and he can work at the reception. I have some videos for you, so you will see what I meant. Now is a mentor for children with autism. He's helping a lot for these children. He's assistant trainer in conducting the physical activities for senior citizens as well as Pepper. And he acts as a supervisor, improving mental skills needed in everyday life. Also can serve as a reminder, and he's an entertainer, and he can also work at the reception. Although he looks and he is very tiny, he can do a lot of stuff. And the universal software that is providing, let's say, the intelligence of these two robots is the Zora bots, the universal software. So now they also call now like Zora as well. So now these are two videos I would like to show you, but I don't know whether they could work. When I click it, they don't work when I see. Maybe I need to escape. Can I just try? Yeah, they're not working when I want them to work. Okay, I don't know what to do. Yeah.
That's how it always goes.
Yes, because they
Yeah.
were working like
Yeah.
half an hour ago. What should
Yeah.
I do? I don't know.
Is there maybe a video on YouTube? Maybe you
Yes,
can
yes, it
open
is,
it
but
in
I don't
another
know
tab or something.
whether this is the one. I can, yeah, okay, I can try. Okay. I don't know whether it's right like this one. Yeah, I wanted to show Moxie, from the Diligent Robotics, how he or she distributes medicines and other necessities. Because if I just talk, it's like not so interesting. It's better to see. Okay, I will then search on the YouTube because I see they're dead. Yeah, they're dead. Okay, just bear with me a second.
No problem.
I'm
Take
sorry for this, but it's always when you don't want it. Okay, but
You don't have to be sorry because people really want to see the video. So you're, in fact, giving
then I
us
need
a
to excuse
favor.
myself again.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but this is not this one which I wanted to show you. Okay, okay, well, yeah. Okay, but this is the robot, yes. So do you see my YouTube?
No, probably you're sharing only Probably you have to stop sharing presentation and share the YouTube.
Again, okay, just a second then, just
Yeah.
a second. Stop sharing. So, okay, hello again. I see just myself. Okay, I opened the YouTube. So I'll try again. Okay, YouTube, share. Now, can you see maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Intelligent Robotics is a company that
Which I wanted, but okay, I will not bother it too much. I don't know, maybe a minute will be maximum. You can decide as the audience wants. Okay, I'll start. So this is the first robot, medical robot, which is working normally in the US.
is building robots to do support tasks for the clinic, working on some of the
Just a second.
robots
So
to
this
be.
is not the
The
one.
robots we build are mobile manipulation platforms. They're on wheels. They can navigate around the entire hospital, and they also have an arm, so they can pick things up and put them in other places. With our initial customers, we're looking at a whole variety of support tasks that these robots can do to sort of give time back to the clinical staff so they can focus on patient care. There's research showing that something like 30% of a nurse's day is spent sort of hunting and gathering the supplies and lightweight equipment that are needed for patient care. We believe this is a real opportunity for robots to take on some of these support tasks to give that time back to the nurses. The SBIR phase 1 really, we call it our sprint to prototype. So we spent 6 months hospitals in Austin, and we built some of the core technology around the interactive machine learning that allows our robots to be quickly deployed in new settings, and that led to some of our first patents. We're trying to build robots that are going to be effective members of the team and operate safely around people. They're going to be, walking by these robots on a day-to-day basis, and hopefully they're going to be able to completely offload some of the fetching and gathering support tasks, and their things that they need will just be ready for their day. Our vision is that robots should be able to be capable teammates with humans, and that we should be able to have human robot teams out there being more effective.
Okay, so hopefully you like this robot. I have more. Just it's a problem now when I can't click it and I need to search for it. Just a second. So one more video which I have, it's from the German care home. So Josephine, will probably like it, or maybe it seems it's for her familiar. Just a second. Okay, I managed to find it. So I will again share the screen. I see, Josephine, you're very curious, yeah. Yeah, it's all in German because I saw that these robots are very developed in your country, so I'm jealous. Okay, so share screen again. And just let me know if you see my video, YouTube.
Yeah, we see it.
1, 2, 3. I'll try to put the titles in English or something because it's in German, in case someone doesn't understand. Just so 1, 2, 3. So this is the other type of robot. Okay, this is the. Okay.
Introducing CareRobot and Casero, service robots on a guest visit to Parkheimberg in Stuttgart. Their mission as part of the VMI Care project to help the staff with their work. He's certainly been a great help to us in our day-to-day work, transporting things, taking the laundry to the cellar and carrying crates of mineral water. He's definitely helped us there because it saves us time. He can do all those things and we can spend more time with the residents. We are talking about Casero. His speciality, transporting things independently. Once Silke, the car, has loaded the laundry into the container, she simply needs to press a few buttons on the display to send the service robot on his way. He then picks up the laundry and takes it to the cellar for washing. At night, when there's nothing that needs to follow him on his travels, should Casero come across anything unknown. The member of staff has also brought the first aid case.
Also gerade für mich, weil ich auch
He's a big help, especially to me because I also do night watch in Parkheim-Berg. He enables me to see that, at least in the corridors, everything is okay, which is really useful. And he also brings me the first aid case. He's a big help.
Das ist dann echt okay.
Hallo, ich bin CareRobot 3. In dieser Woche unterstütze ich die Pflegekräfte bei ihrer Arbeit.
A different robot, a different task. CareRobot makes direct contact with the residents in Parkheim-Berg. He can even recognize faces.
Frau Ebner, Sie möchten doch bestimmt etwas trinken.
Ja, so.
Ein Schluck Wasser kann doch nicht schaden.
Ja, da hast du recht. Prost, Nachbar. Prost.
Na denn, Prost.
Prost, für das Leben.
The second guest robot can independently pour out drinks and then hand them out to residents. What's special about him is that he keeps a record of who's had something to drink and how often. Members of staff can examine the record at any time.
Der Druck zu kontrollieren und nachzuschauen.
We're definitely under great pressure to make sure that the residents get enough to drink. That's a big challenge for the staff. And there's something else CareRobot can do.
Ich bin nun bereit zum Spielen.
Okay.
Kätzchen.
Memory is just one of the popular games on offer from CareRobot on his guest visit to Parkheim-Berg. And to finish, there's another special ability the service robot can show off.
Junge, komm bald wieder, bald wieder nach Haus. Junge, fahr nie wieder hinaus.
Okay, so I will stop sharing again the screen. Hopefully you liked this video. So I'll go back to my presentation. So this, do you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So hopefully you liked the videos. I have a bit more. If you want to see more, I have more and more videos, but Josephine needs to have her floor as well very soon, so I need to be in a hurry. So this the other one, CareRobot, as you have seen, is a service robot that is capable of working a lot of things. He can feed the older people. He can serve as a mobile information center. He can be an entertainer, and he can deliver the items and so on and so on. You have seen that he can also sing, or she. So let's go to the next slide. So why is it not working?
Pepper macht es vor
So
und die
this is,
Senioren machen.
sorry. So robot Pepper in nursing home in some Western countries. This is all again in Germany. So this one from the, if you see the pictures, it's in Germany. And on the right hand side, this was the picture from the robot Pepper in Finland. So I can show you one more video so you can see again how the Pepper functions. So he can educate everyone. He works as an entertainer. He can relax and he can increase, of course, the mood. So do you want me to show the video or?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I still have time. Okay.
Es nach.
Sorry, it's in German, but you can see the picture. So, the video. Sorry.
Tai Chi im Marienheim Siegen in NRW.
Da bringt Stimmung in die Bude. Ja, ganz einfach, so ist das.
Bewohnerin Anna Mannskopf mag den Roboter und damit ist sie nicht allein.
Aber so haben wir schon viel.
Okay, I'll skip this
Sportarbeiter
talking.
an der Universität Siegen
Zur Unterhaltung eingesetzt. Spiele und lassen den Roboter dann aber auch so Lieder abspielen und er ist dann so ein Entertainer quasi. Das sind die Funktionen, die man hier macht.
Edith Hauch kann das bestätigen.
Er hat so menschliche Wesen. Die Finger, die gefallen mir so gut an ihm. Wenn er die Hand so schräg hält, ist schön.
Pepper ist 1,20 Meter groß und bewegt sich auf Rollen. Er wurde extra kindlich konstruiert, mit großen, freundlichen Augen, damit niemand Angst vor ihm hat. Mit Hilfe seiner Sensoren am Kopf und an den Fingern kann der Roboter hören, sehen, sprechen und sogar Stimmlagen und Emotionen erkennen.
Man hat am Anfang, war das klar,
wo er bereits auf dem Massenmarkt arbeitet. Die Uni Siegen ist nun dabei, Pepper zu zeigen, wie er in Deutschland auf Alltagssituationen reagieren kann. Er soll die Menschen aber nicht nur unterhalten.
Zum Beispiel, wenn er dann Informationen über Sonne.
Er tanzt und singt mit den Heimbewohnern. Er leitet Computer- und Reaktionsspiele an, reagiert auf Berührungen, motiviert und lobt dann auch mal. Pflegekräfte ersetzen soll Pepper allerdings nicht. Es geht darum, diese zu entlasten oder sich gegenseitig zu ergänzen.
So if you can see again, so the robot Pepper and it how so as they what is happening? It's my slides are jumping. Okay, so as you can see, Pepper. The robot will not replace the medical staff. Instead, he will or she will relieve the staff from other tests, from some repetitive and mundane tests. And it can he or she or the robot can increase the boost, the mood, and relax. And it really serves as an entertainer and also as an entertainer. So you can play games with the Pepper and so on, as you have seen on some videos and how it has been implemented in some care homes in Germany. So let's go on the next slide. So I have also some videos why this is jumping. Okay, so robot Sarah in Finland and robot Pepper in the Netherlands. I will not show again maybe robot Pepper because you have seen. I can show you how does it look like the robot Sarah, which is in Finland. Just bear with me a second. So again, since we are having difficulties with the YouTube, just a second. So you can see this robot, which is implemented everywhere in Finland. Okay, I found it. So again, share screen. So do you see?
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And when you want me to stop the video, just tell me. Just let me know. And then let's go back.
Care institutions and hospitals in Europe are facing serious staffing shortages. As a result, 3 out of 4 nurses are experiencing a problematic workload and high time pressure. In order to improve the work environment of healthcare professionals and the well-being of their clients, Smart Robot Sarah was developed by combining the expertise of 5 companies across Europe. Sarah is a robot that can act as an autonomous and social entity at different types of care facilities.
The key driver of our success is our collaboration with the pilot institutions. So we are working together with 2 care institutions in the Netherlands and in Finland. The people working in these institutions have been involved in the complete process, from research to design to development and testing. Their involvement has helped us to create a solution that fits their needs.
Sarah provides clients with personal attention and has modules for behavior analysis as well as medication management. Through analysis of client interactions, Sarah is able to support caregivers in monitoring client well-being. While Sarah interacts with the client, this enables the staff to shortly attend to daily routines. The result is a safe, data-driven, and social environment for caregivers and their clients. Sarah can offer various types of different social interactions according to clients' preferences and wishes. Music, exercises, audio stories, photo albums, and games are all examples of activities that SARA can provide. The client can, for example, do memory exercises by playing games, choose audio stories from historical content, or listen to her favorite songs. The exercise videos are easy and slow enough so that even those with motion difficulties can take part.
Jos me tällä tavalla juuri pystytään sitten siirtämään sitä hoitotyön henkilöiden työsarkaa ihan oikeasti sinne asukkaan iholle ja lähelle ja sen asukkaan luo, niin silloinhan tämä niin kuin korvaa paljon sitä hoidollista tarvetta.
Okay. So I'll go quickly back to the presentation again. Hopefully you liked the video. So now let's go to another robot, which is the other type of robot. Again, let's say care robot, but this is assistive robot. So that is developed by researchers from Riken and Tokai Rubber Industries from Japan, which can lift a patient from, they say, up to 80 kilos. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. Maybe it can be less, or maybe it can be someone bigger, or bigger than 80 kilos, I don't know, from the bed, and move him or her into a wheelchair and assist staff with their most difficult tasks. I have again the video, but I don't know whether I'm short with the time, or do you want to see the video, or should I go on?
I really want to see the video for this one because it looks cute, but yeah, we are short on time. I'm not sure how many slides you have.
I have, I'm on the 15th.
Or if Josephine is okay, if we don't start at 6 straight sharp, then that's
no, take your time. It's all good.
Okay, thank you. I have 10 more slides, but I'll go very quickly. So, okay, then I will show you. I'm sorry that this video is not working here. It was working before the meeting, so it's like.
Maybe we can then, if that's the last video, maybe you can go through the slides until the end, and then we can watch a video.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Sure. Yeah, because it's better to see these videos. Other than just me talking, this needs to be seen either live or through the video. So, okay, then I'll go back to this robot afterwards. So let's go back to the slide. So human in the loop, which was already mentioned. So this theory aims to achieve what neither a human being nor a machine can achieve on their own, because it means when a machine is not able to solve the problem, human needs to step in and intervene. So that's what I was saying before, that robots cannot be and should not be autonomous, should never be autonomous. However, they always need to work under the constant supervision of humans. So if you can see on the right-hand side, so robot can command, but human as well. So they share the control, and robot is always learning from the human, and so robot sends the feedback to human, and vice versa. So that's what here it needs to be. So it needs to be emphasized that robots still will not replace people, but however they work together. So that means human in the loop. So the process is the results in the creation of the continuous feedback loop, and with this constant feedback, so between the human and the computer, or human and the robot, the algorithm will learn better and produce better results every time. You can also see in the picture how they're driving. Three robots are driving the bicycle, but the real robot, meaning human, is still here in between. So I'll go back to Pepper and what he can or she can do. So interact with humans is possible with his system, which is called Physical Assistant Robot System, or PHAROS. So, for example, this was one example of the care home again in Germany, what they are doing in Stuttgart. So Pepper is monitoring, suggesting, and assisting the users of care home in carrying out the physical activity by motivating them. For example, you see here on the first picture, or first step, he's or she's reminding the user of the scheduled exercise program. It can customize the training programs, simulate visual and voice training, recognize exercises and correct them, and gives feedback to staff. So robot Pepper, for example, Pepper can work here and is working as an intermediary. So it's relieving the staff of something that they can do with the humans. Now they can do something else. They can devote themselves to something else, whereas robots are doing, for example, this here physical exercise. And then they have, based on the user's profile, they have recommendation of what can they do. If you can see above, it says user's profile, recommender, exercise set, and user score, and then schedule the next session. So this can be this kind of let's say task, or this kind of robots. Yes, this can be very helpful for the medical staff in both care homes and hospitals. So then now we will talk about the uncanny valley. Probably most of you heard of this. This now deals with the humanoid robots, which I'm not currently dealing with. I'm just studying them outside the PhD because I find them more interesting and more intriguing, than social robots. So what is the uncanny valley? If you can see in the diagram and the parabola, parabola. So you see, for example, here you have likable and creepy on the X and Y axis. So you see the industrial robot arm is like likable, let's say, kind of, and it's not creepy at all. A mechanical humanoid robot, I would not say humanoid robot, I would say here semi-humanoid robot, but okay, it's likable. But cartoon human character is very likable, it's cute, and it's not creepy at all. But if you go bottom, and if you see, I don't know what is the word called for the, like in mathematics language this way, but humanoid robot, if you see at the bottom with skin, that looks like a human, let's say, that resembles human, and the one that acts, let's say, sufficiently alive, meaning that their sound is already sounds like a human, that is super creepy. So that means that is the uncanny valley. So no one wants to, I think here also at our presentation here, our conference, no one would like to see this robot at 3 a.m., like kind of robot which you can see here, such as Sophia or Umeka, which you can see on the right-hand side. I find them as well creepy. I don't know for you. And this one also of the Japanese woman, which you can see at the bottom. She really looks like real. I mean, if you don't wear glasses, I honestly wouldn't know whether she's real or not. So maybe it's better to remove the glasses, because now I'm afraid of them. So uncanny valley, so as I mentioned, is a disturbing feeling that humans experience when androids or humanoid robots and different visual simulations resemble humans, but they're not realistic at all. And when this term, if you're interested, when this term was coined, was already invented, let's say, by Masahiro Mori, from the Japanese roboticists, because probably you know that in Japan, humanoid robots are very popular, and we have also very interesting Japanese roboticist, if you have heard of him, Ishikuro, who programmed and he created his whole family of robots. So he has himself of robots, so digital or robotic, as you can call it, twin, then twin of his mother, twin of his wife, twin of his daughter. So you know what I mean. So that was already coined, if you can imagine, in 1970. So yeah, probably Japanese don't find that creepy as we do, if I can say this way. So this is the uncanny valley. So this can be in contradiction to the other robots, because these robots already really look like humans. Also, what I can add, what is maybe you have already heard of it, that's robot Sophia, which you can see this, let's say, woman without hair or hairless girl or woman. She already has a citizenship of Saudi Arabia, and she's working at the United Nations. And I was listening some of her speeches. She's really intelligent. She really resembles human and talks like a human. So that's also the uncanny valley. What else can I say here? Yes, but some say in some books they say that humanoid robots are more likely to create uncanny valley, but it's not exclusive to human-like design. So meaning that also the other robots we don't like humans, but they already talk like humans. They already are producing that disturbing effect. Yes. So yes, then let's go on. Let's go further on. So Internet of Robotic Things. This is again something helpful. It's not the uncanny valley. Now we got back again to the cute social robot now that communicates. You can see here with the patient who suffers from diabetes, and how he can help or to her. For example, here in this girl or woman is a patient, because he already is measuring and seeing her state, and how the now is connected to the center via the internet and cloud. These pieces of information has been already sent to the healthcare or the doctor or the medical staff in a care home. And after this data processing, the robot gives the feedback and useful advice to the patient. So again, the robot here works as an intermediary and is helping a lot. It can help a lot and relieve the burden of the medical staff, and also, let's say, cut the time, because they can devote themselves to something else. Now let's talk about maybe less interesting thing, which is ethics. So besides all the advantages in AI, there are also recent challenges, especially in healthcare and especially in care of older adults, because they're a vulnerable group. So I will try to here be as much brief as possible. So ethics has been a domain which philosophers have discussed. Ethical principle means to treat everyone with respect. Its origin is already comes from the ancient Greece, comes from the word ethos, which means custom or habit. And one of the most active philosophers, again from Germany, it's Immanuel Kant. He said, act as you would want all other people to act towards all other people. So he said that in 18th century, and he was, yes, the most active philosophers for ethics. And one definition of ethics that it was, I think, most interesting, at least to me, that ethics are moral principles that command human behavior, or the control of the activity. Ethical issues in analytics and models. When I talk to your colleagues also at the GDG and so on, the developers, they always, when I talk about that I'm studying ethics, they always mention me. Do you know maybe it's Asimov's three laws of robotics? So okay, now I wrote the Asimov's three laws of robotics, which are quite interesting and very important. So these laws were introduced, in case you don't know or didn't know, in 1942 by the, they say American professor. You can judge whether he's American or Russian, because he was born in Russia, grew up in US. So I don't know how you can call it from. So Isaac Asimov. So you have here three laws of robotics, but he also mentioned, or later he added the zeroth law. So let's start. Law 1 is robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Law 2, robot must obey orders given it to by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. Law 3, a robot must protect its own existence. And later he added, as mentioned, zeroth law. Above all the others, a robot may not harm humanity or by inaction allow humanity to come to harm. So this you can see on the right-hand side, Asimov, the guy who is next to the robot, and here the robot is teaching the three laws of robotics. Yes, and yes, so let's go on because I'm already late. I see. I'm sorry. So this is the last slide. Yes. So ethical problems which were represented. This is from the European Council and European Parliament. And those are safety, user understanding, autonomy, data protection, legal liability, bias, equality of access, quality of care, and deception and fraud. And maybe this is interesting. I won't be talking about any articles and any law. because I'm not a lawyer. But what is interesting that on Friday, December 8th, as of 2023, the European Parliament and Council finally reached a political agreement on the European Union's Artificial Intelligence Act, so-called EU AI Act. So I think that's very interesting to know. And as well, now this safety, use, understanding, autonomy, I will talk maybe too much about it. I can only say that so user understand safety meaning that robots of course need to be in the safe environment, or robots and the humans also with them. User understanding, so meaning that medical staff or doctors and so on need to be also digitally literate, so digitally educated, let's say, under the quotation marks, to work with robots. So they need to have some education before, they need to understand this technology. Then autonomy, data protection, so we all know what does it mean. So here, for example, when we saw these robots are all equipped with cameras. So what does that mean? That means that is something that we can say that it's a privacy infringement. So privacy infringement, and is breaching the privacy of older people. So we need to see here what happens when and in whose hands that can come. So these are also the ethical issues that we need to deal with. Legal liability, bias, meaning, so maybe the robot, probably you have seen from the Deutsche Welle when they were saying that AI has recognized only white people with green color of eyes and so on. So they didn't recognize the people who are, I don't know how to say, from Africa or from India and so on. So meaning that AI can be racist. So how can robots be how can I say, democratic, or how can they be, let's say, normal? How can they behave without any prejudice? How can that be programmed? And if that could be coded or programmed. Equality of access, meaning who should afford these robots. So this robot, for example, this example of Now robot, it now, for example, costs minimum $16,000. So who can afford this? So only richer countries can afford these robots, whereas the others cannot afford it and don't have it. So this is a lot of things that can be for a debate. Quality of care as well. So the quality of care will be better with for the countries that can have these robots. So it doesn't mean only the countries, can be also in Croatia. So the private care home can have these two robots, whereas the other home from only from Zagreb, which is the state one, cannot afford it, for example, or vice versa. So where is here how can that be fair? And deception and fraud, I meant here, for example, if we communicate too much with the robots, meaning here older people, if they can maybe, for example, even that seems maybe too much, but they can fall in love, or they can attach themselves too much and so on. So they can start saying there was one research saying that one older grandpa already said "I love you" to a robot, and he didn't respond to the same. So this was kind of deception here, and kind of fraud, because it's a very tricky also question if they get attached to it. Maybe I didn't mention this because you would all already kick me out if I will talk 5 more minutes. But anthropomorphism, if you have heard of it, it's like when you attach yourself to a non-living being. So of course you will not attach to your smartphone, but we are already attached to it, not with emotions, but we cannot live with them. So what would be when we will be attached to someone who can already talk as robots, and so on and so forth. So this is the last slide, yay. So again, that's me studying the human-robot interaction. This is me at the University of Twente. We have created one robot last summer. If you can see the tiny robot. So it's me again on the left-hand side with Pepper. And these are the references, and that's it.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry that I talked too much. I see that. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, maybe it's best if we leave the question. If there is a question right now, you can type it in chat. Maybe you can answer questions in the chat, and then we can talk afterwards. So let's just have Josephine now finish her part, and then
Sorry,
we can all
Josephine,
talk.
I'm
Huh?
sorry.
No,
I'm
no
sorry.
problem. It's
No
I mean,
problem.
we wanted to see all the videos, so it's
Oh, yeah, there is
us
one
to
more
blame.
video missing, but whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll see that one too at the end. Yeah. Welcome, Josephine. Hope you can share the screen. No need to do any special announcements, and the stage is yours.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Also, thank you, Bruna, for this amazing talk. I was so hyped because I had a course in university in the Netherlands where we also investigated about robots in social care. So I was just like, no, I'm so happy. Okay, anyway, let's get into web accessibility, actually. So let me get started really quickly and just set up my screens. All right, perfect. So let's get started really briefly. There was already, it's not moving, is it? There we go, okay. Yeah, there was already an introduction about me, so I don't wanna waste anybody's time on that. If you're curious, if you have any questions afterwards, if you wanna chat about anything, get in touch on Twitter or on LinkedIn. I'm super happy to connect. And also there will be all the resources that I'm going to mention. They're going to be listed in the end. There's a QR code, there's a link. So don't worry about screenshotting anything. Also the slides, if you miss anything, all of this is going to be there in the end. So not to worry. All right, what are we going to do? We're going to have a look at what web accessibility is, why you should care if you don't already. I kind of assume if you are here that you do care. However, maybe you want to convince your boss or somebody who you want to spend money on your project. So there's a couple of good arguments why people in general should care. And then we're going to have a look at what you can do in practice, how to get started in a big legacy project, and how to keep it going. And maybe while you're at it, you can put in the chat if you have worked with web accessibility before, if you have implemented it, or if it's super new to you, because then I can adapt a little bit, hopefully, or see where you're kind of at. So I'm very curious. We'll move on though. We'll have a quick look at what web accessibility is. And basically, just in the physical world, we need to make adjustments so that everything is kind of accessible for everybody, right? And there's lots of concepts around universal design where you kind of aim to have as many people as possible in the loop without having to make special adjustments. And you would kind of think that with all the advancements in technology, things do get more accessible. And partially that is true. Like, for example, think of a printed newspaper. That would be really hard for a blind person or visually impaired person to consume, whereas digital newspaper, news content, you can use a screen reader to read that out. So far, so good. That is only true if it's implemented correctly and if it's actually accessible, right? And that is where web accessibility comes in, and that is why we need it. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail on that in a bit. So we'll have a look at the background, if you will. So I'm going to talk about a lot of abbreviations. The WCAG is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. It's a shared international standard. Maybe if you have worked with web accessibility, you've probably heard of them. They're also linked in the back. They have 3 different levels of accessibility: A, AA, and AAA. AAA is the strictest. It's usually only used for very niche organizations, and AA is usually the kind, the level that most government organizations want to comply to. And now with the laws that are changing, this is also what's going to be required. So if you do business in Canada or in Norway, for example, you can already get sued for not complying with AA standard if your organization has a certain size. And the laws are changing for the EU, where in June 2025, it's also going to get a little bit more strict. Not as strict as personally I would like it to be, but a little bit stricter. And if people talk about these laws, they are referring to AA standard, just for your background. And let's really quickly talk about a few ground principles. So if you are thinking about web accessibility, these kind of 4 guiding principles, you will always come back to them. It's you want to make your content perceivable, also not only visually, but also with assistive tech, with a screen reader, etc. You want to make sure it's actually operable, so people can navigate your page, they can actually use your online shop, for example. You want to make sure it's understandable, so the content, but also the UI, like how to use it. And you want to make sure that it's robust, so that it can be interpreted by many different user agents, also assistive technology. All right. And now, why should you care? Well, from my point of view, it's not it's not even a question, but if you want people to spend money on it, usually this comes up a lot. Let's start with the most basic. Web accessibility is actually a human right. So access to information technology as defined by the United Nations is a human right, and therefore you are not complying with the human rights legislation, basically, if you're not caring about web accessibility. If you care about being good at your job as a developer, accessible code is, generally speaking, good code. This is a big generalization. Of course, there's exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, semantic code is going to be better code for sure. The new laws, I mentioned them, they're coming also to the EU. So if you don't want to get sued, that's also a good one. You will open up to a wider audience. 15% of the global population are experiencing some form of disability throughout their lifetime, and that is 1 billion people. And so that's a lot of people with a lot of spending power. And when I first saw this number, I was really mind blown, how can not more companies care about this? Because it's a lot of customers also that you're losing if you're caring about the financial side of things. And we'll see in a second that web accessibility benefits all of us, actually. So if I say that, what do I mean? I mean, not only people with disabilities. So we have here, for example, somebody who is deaf, or maybe somebody who has a visual impairment. Sure, yes, they do benefit from web accessibility, but it goes even beyond that 1 billion. So it could be a temporary or situational limitation, something like maybe you're holding a cat or a baby, or maybe you're in a loud environment, or maybe your internet connection is bad, so the images don't load, and you need alternative text to know what's going on in that image. And so there's so many cases in which web accessibility just creates better user experience that I feel like it's all of our responsibility to care about that sort of thing. So I really briefly want to show you a tool if you're curious about broadening your horizon, actually. And this is another version of my slides, interesting. So there's a tool called Cards for Humanity. And if you are curious about thinking kind of beyond the binary of what your user could look like, you can click Deal Cards. You get 2 attributes for a user. So we have Jenny, who's 45, and he's a bit lazy, and also partially deaf. And then you can have a look at the needs. So what should you consider? And you could also swap out the car and see a different version, right? And so you will likely not meet everybody's needs, but it's good to kind of think beyond what you would stereotypically think of when you think of your customer, right? So this is a really fun tool to use and play around with, experience. All right, so let's dive in a little bit deeper. So there is a report, it's called WebAIM 1 Million, and they had a look at the 1 million most popular pages on the web and investigated on the most common accessibility failures. And you see here that the most common issues, this is 83% have low contrast issues. We have missing alternative text, empty links and buttons, missing form labels, and missing document language. And of course, it depends a bit on the project, but I would assume that these most common 6 errors, actually, they're not so difficult technically, right? And this is something that we could all fix if we were aware, if we had the time to test for it, and if we cared about that sort of thing, right? And so we're going to have a look at a few of them to see how you can already resolve a bunch of issues or test for them without having to put in a crazy amount of work. So let's have a look. The first most common thing was color contrast. And what we talk about here is the difference between the background and the foreground. And you see here at the bottom is a ratio. So this is what the number that we're referring to if we're kind of having the cutoff, right? The cutoff is 4.5 to 1 for a normal size text. And then for bold text and for larger text, you have a little bit lower ratio. But generally, you want to make sure everybody can see, right? So we'll try it real quick. I'm going to show you on my employer's page because actually it's not accessible. And I'm curious, currently in the process of making it more accessible. So why is the color contrast important? It's not only important for people who have color blindness, like red-green color blindness, for example. You see the experience is a bit different here with this tool. It's called a Web Disability Simulator. But also, if I select something like sunshine, it's super hard to read some of the things, right? Like, pretty sure there's a button here. I can't, I can't tell actually, right? So you see what I'm getting at. It's not only, again, it's not only people with disabilities, but it's also general situations in life that we want to make sure people can find your, I don't know, try now button or something. So this was, of course, not 100% accurate. What are we looking at now? I want to make sure, for example, here I have a background. I'm pretty sure the foreground is actually like real white. See, yeah, we have a great color contrast of 15.3% ratio. This is really great. And this, for example, was super hard to see earlier. And it's, again, it's a background color is some whitish color. And the foreground color is this teal. And we have a terrible color contrast of 2.6, right? So this is something that we will have to fix in the future. And this is how you could check for color contrast, right? So this is one way to go about it. So we have tried it. Oopsie. What can you do? Don't trust color. Very important. There's different kinds of visual impairments. And also there's sunshine. Not where I live so much, but there's sunshine. And everybody's perception of your page might be very different. What you could do now is, if you have the luxury of creating a new color palette, you could start there and create an accessible color palette. Make sure that all the background and foregrounds are actually accessible. Here's another tool that you can use to kind of figure out what colors you can use together. Also very helpful. And then another really important thing is, do not use color as your only indicator of change, right? Because if you were to, wait, let's go. Can I go back? Yeah. If we were to not see green and red, how would we know which one is running and which one has an outage, right? So this is why we have the little icons here. And ideally, we would also have ARIA labels, for example, or labels in general attached to the images. But this is a very good visual cue to let people know. Same thing here, we have no label attached to the color. Here we have a label, because if we can't see color and it's all going to be gray, we don't know what's going to happen, right? So we don't know what kind of pants we're ordering. GitHub has a really, really nice different options. They have different themes for different high contrast options, different visual impairments. This is super extensive and you don't have to do that. But what you could start with, for example, is adjust to the color scheme that your user prefers, for example, so that it's easier on their eyes if they prefer a dark mode. Also, don't forget about hover and focus styles. So make sure that also the non-text elements, they require a contrast of 3:1. And think about neurodiverse users, right? So again, you can't fit everybody's needs, that's true. But for example, like super, super bright, flashy colors, or like crazy high color contrast is very distracting, can be hard on the eyes. And so a little bit more muted tones are usually a little bit better for people who are neurodivergent. All right. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to pop them in the chat. Else, I will just keep going. The second thing we're going to talk about is keyboard accessibility. And if we return to the POUR principles, that would mean operable mainly, right? We want to make sure people can actually use our page. Interactive elements have to be reachable with the keyboard, and you want to make sure that the tab order, so the way in which people navigate your page, is close or is the same as your visual, how you would read a page, right? You want to make sure that the focus is visible at all times. So we'll try it. Again, let me return to the home page. And now, first thing that happens if I tap through the page is we get here a skip to main content button. This is super handy because now I can press enter, I hop onto the main content, and if I continue tabbing, you see I'm here. So I didn't have to go through the entire navigation. If I use a page frequently, it's gonna increase the user experience and it's gonna save me a lot of time as a keyboard user, right? It's really difficult to see that we have the focus here. So it should be more visible for sure. If we keep tabbing, now we have the focus here. Here it's cut off. So there's definitely a lot of work that needs to be done. And in between, now I lost it. That's what I mean with you want to make sure that your focus is visible at all times, right? Else is super confusing as a keyboard user. Now, what could I do if I didn't want to tap through the entire page all the time? There's another tool. Oh, I had to reset up my, I had to reset my computer. So I'm just gonna check if I have it on the other browser. No, I don't. It's called Tab Ally. And it's going to help you visualize what it looks like to tab through the page. It's also linked in the resources. But just for time's sake, I'm not going to install it now. But it literally visualizes the order in which it goes, and it tells you what's behind a specific link or interactive element. So that's also very, very helpful. All right, let's move on. So what can we do? We can implement a skip link. So we hide it from view, and only if it's tabbed to, it gets focused, you can see it, and then you can go to the main body. We can visualize the tab order to make sure that we're not missing anything. We want to make sure that we do not mess with the tab index. We don't take anything out unless there's a very good reason. We don't disable the focus. We don't set the outline to none or anything without replacing it. And by using semantic HTML, which we'll get to in a little bit more detail in a second, we'll be able to already use a bunch of inherently built-in functionality that a lot of elements have, like the button. It has a focus style, right? So no need to worry about it if you use semantic HTML. And now we get to semantic HTML. I was already kind of hinting at it as the third most common source of error. Let's talk about alternative text. We've seen this is one of the things that goes wrong a lot, because here you would see, like, if I had bad internet connection, I would not know what is in this image. I could just set an alternative text. This one says black and white cat sitting under a pink umbrella. And if then the internet loads, you will see that my cat does sit under a pink umbrella. But this is what you would need the alternative text for, right? And so it seems almost obvious to talk about, but then we've seen the report, it gets wrong so many times. So I feel like it's good to repeat it. We can talk about links and discernible labels for links and buttons, because again, this is something that showed up in the WebAIM a lot in the WebAIM report. Something like, oh, that was not what I wanted there. Using elements for their given purpose, and input type and input label. So make sure you have a label for every kind of input, where you want to make sure that, like, what does the user need to do, right? If they tap somewhere with a screen reader and they don't actually know what is expected of them, how are they going to fill in the fields properly? Stick to headline hierarchies, also really important one, also goes wrong a lot. And add a document language. This is what the code snippet we were just seeing there earlier, where messed up the animation of my slides, but basically adding something like language is English or German. so that the screen reader actually knows how to pronounce things, right? Because maybe you've used Google Maps in a different country and you drove across the border, things had funny names, and your Google Maps didn't know how to pronounce it. That is also the document language that plays a role in there, right? So like you want to make sure that it actually knows how to pronounce things. Oh, there it is. It's back. All right, let's try it. We'll go back. And what I wanted to show you was actually that we can run either with Lighthouse or here with an additional tool. I can run the XDev tool. We'll ignore this for now. And scan our entire page. And this brings up 73 issues. So this is a more general text, not only related test, not only related to semantic HTML, but it brings up things like the buttons must have a discernible text, and then I can highlight the issue. We see here this apparently doesn't have a label or text attached to it, so a screen reader wouldn't know what to do with it. And then if we skip through here, we are using some images as buttons to lead to case studies. And again, it doesn't tell, if you can't visually see it, you don't know where it takes you. So how likely are you to click that button? Then we have a bunch of issues with the color contrast. We were talking about this before, most common error ever. And then we have an issue with a DL element must only directly contain DT or DD groups. So semantic HTML, again, here's another one, right? So a general test like this will really help you kind of figure out where to get started. And for example, with the semantic HTML elements, and what you could also do is we can steal the link here, and I can run, I can do an HTML validation, right? So I'm not sure how, oh boy. Yeah, here we go. So it will give me a lot of information on issues that could come up with my HTML, right? And I can use this to kind of figure out what is going on and check everything here. And again, just as kind of a start for testing, it's not, you don't have to take everything in here for granted, but it's a good start to kind of explore a little bit further and get started. So what can you do? You could make an alternative text a requirement if you can, or introduce linters to your development environment. If you have decorative images, you set an empty alt text. Double check your divs. So if you can, use meaningful elements instead of divs or spans. Validate your HTML and stick to meaningful headline hierarchies. So just one H1 and then follow the consecutive order. So this was a lot. There's always more, right? So I was just talking about like the most common issues, and I try to really speed it up so we can catch up on some time. But there's always more if you're curious about accessibility testing. So we haven't talked about screen reader testing yet. For example, there's a bunch of different ones. If you are a Mac user, there's VoiceOver built in actually, so you can search for it and try it out yourself. There's also a little course kind of that you can follow to see what kind of behavior to expect. It talks a lot. So if you haven't tried it, I would highly recommend it, but it takes some getting used to. And then there's other ones, Narrator, JAWS, NVIDIA, and Orca. Then we can test on mobile. Again, there's also screen readers involved there. You can think about accessible fonts. What kind of fonts are you using? How readable are they? Do they work well for people with dyslexia, for example? You can think about audio and video transcripts. And of course, language accessibility. So how complicated are your sentences? Could you make it easier to understand? Can you include simple English or like an easier version so that it's more accessible for people with cognitive disabilities, for example? So there's a lot, right? And it can be overwhelming, and especially if you're just starting out. So how could you get started? So of course, it's always the best if you can implement accessibility from the start. It eliminates a lot of issues that take a lot longer to fix than they would to implement right from the beginning. You could do an accessibility audit with these automated tools like I just showed. Lighthouse also has a built-in accessibility feature. So if you were to open Lighthouse, you get here accessibility. You can also, for like, so that it's easier to see, you can also only check this one, run it, and it will give you similar, but sometimes a little bit different approaches to what we've just seen with XDev tools. Also, if you inspect elements with Chrome DevTools, it gives you here at the bottom of this little pop-up, you see some accessibility-related features, for example, regarding the role, whether it's keyboard focusable, etc. So this is also really helpful to kind of quickly go into. Sandra is asking, where do these tools get the rules from? I would strongly assume, so XDev tools, they're kind of the, what's the English word for this? So they're kind of the pioneers, the people that everybody takes things from. And I would assume that this is all based on the WCAG. So those are the shared guidelines. But it's an educated guess. So I'm happy to check this afterwards and share this information with you after. But I would assume this is kind of the gold standard. Yeah. Great question, though. I have never thought about it. Well, anyway, so this is really helpful as well. And then let's go back. One thing that I think is really helpful, especially if your company doesn't have the budget to test everything, like the whole website or the whole product, start with the most common user journey. Go to your analytics and check, where do people go? Where do people spend their money? What is important to your company? And if you use this as a proof of concept, convince people to actually like invest further into accessibility, just use that one and take some quick wins. Like, for example, are you able to change the brand colors on our page? That would already fix 58 issues, right? So of course, it's not super easy to change the brand colors. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it would resolve a lot of things in one go. So it's definitely something to look out for. And of course, if you can automate, so include accessibility linters. Again, X has a bunch of really good ones. Include checks in your GitHub actions. For example, I was working on a project where we weren't able to merge something if it had accessibility failures. Every time we touched something, we had to implement accessibility. And it was a great way to get more coverage for the entire project, similar to test coverage, for example. Educate your team, talk about accessibility, try to remove barriers. So where you can, make it as easy as possible to do the right thing, because when things get stressful, humans usually take the easy way. It's just in our nature, right? So make sure you can remove any kind of barrier that you have in your process. And of course, hire people with disabilities for testing if you can. Hire them on your team. Of course, in the current economic situation, most companies don't have the privilege of hiring a bunch of specialists. But if you can, I would highly suggest, because it's going to give you such great insight into your product and enrich your team culture. So we had already some questions on the chat. I'm not sure how you want to handle this in this stream, but I already want to say thank you so much for having me. Please feel free to reach out, get in touch. I love to chat. And here is all the resources that I was mentioning before. And also, if it's easier for you to type it out, it's on the Linktree, and you'll see a link to the slides if you want to follow up, or all the resources that I mentioned. And if I missed something, ping me. I'm happy to share it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josephine. Wonderful presentation, very insightful and educational. Now, if we have questions, yeah, maybe I can turn on my camera. I'm not sure what happened there. If we have questions, please, anyone can raise their hand if they want to speak, or you can just type the question if you want. Right now, I'm going to share my screen for a little bit. So yeah, let's go. We went and we're back. So yeah, sad news. We promised Kahoot quiz, but we're not gonna have Kahoot quiz due to some technical issues. Nevertheless, we will have a giveaway of some GDG swag. So if you joined this event through GDG official community page, then you will get, or meetup maybe, then you will get a post-event survey to fill up, and then we'll select a random person and we'll give you, send you some swag, get in touch with you in some way. And if you didn't receive any post-event survey and you still want to get swag, please contact us on any of our social networks, GDG Zagreb. Okay, now we have question from Mario for Bruna. I will read it out.
Okay.
What type of robot would you recommend for home use for seniors? Best price quality ratio.
Okay. So Mario, thank you for your question. As always researchers say, it's very interesting question. So if I can be concrete, I would recommend some kind of home robots which are quite small, and the ones that I've mentioned can be maybe Pepper, but those all robots are quite expensive. So, but it's always possible to get some support from the government and so on, which I've been talking on before. I was talking already when I was discussing something which I cannot say now. You can always get the funds from the European Commission and so on, so you can rent these robots and then they can be more affordable. But the ones for the home use, it's very hard for me to say because these all robots have been mostly used in care homes, not like in home use, because they still need to be under the control of people. But the ones that you can use in home, I can show some pictures that I've seen. Those robots that are used in the United States, and those are quite small ones. They're like this type, this big. And so they can be they look like a light when you are going back to sleep, and then you have like the light bulb so next to the bed. And these ones are quite intelligent robots. I have never seen them, unfortunately, because they're not present in Croatia. And so far in Croatia, it's only the idea of these robots, not even implementing them. So it's very hard to do this research because you need to be abroad almost constantly to study this human-robot interaction. But these robots can, for example, I cannot say that they're limited, but they can do some of the things that are maybe interesting to those who are alone, who are by themselves home. For example, of reminding them taking the medicines, as I was mentioning before. They can motivate you to do the exercise. They can play with you, chess, memory, and checkers and games similar as these ones. And they can talk to you, but it's always limited. It's always to some extent. They cannot replace the real human, and as I was saying, but they can help to some extent. I mean, they could be better than maybe, in my opinion, than mobile phones, because at least you can deceive yourself talking to to a robot and attach to someone, and the time can go faster if you're unfortunately a widow and you spend your time by yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Doctor. Yeah, I don't know that it's possible to rent a robot. For example, it's possible to rent.
It is. Yeah.
So it is possible to rent, for example, a robot. For example, you can choose, I don't know, Pepper for, let's say, 2-3 months, and if it's not suitable for you, you can, for example, choose some other type of robot. Or
well, in the Netherlands you can do, in Germany and in Italy, for example, you can do, but in Croatia it's still very hard. It was also when I was doing the research, people were looking at me like I came from the other planet, because they thought that I was joking with them, because older people are still very reluctant to the technology. And some of them told me even firstly when they saw me that they were so afraid that I will I don't know in what way, but remove the medical stuff and just introduce the robots, they were very frightening of this. So here it's a bit different, because not because of I don't know, of standard and so on and so on, not because of that. It's because of we are still like a traditional, and we still stick to family, which is in my opinion very good point. Whereas these Western countries, and let's say more developed, are already like not so, they're not attached to their family, so they can also easily accept this kind of technology. So it's also kind of the mentality. So I don't know, it's very hard also for me if I could think that I can adopt some kind of robot when I will be, if I will live until 80, for example. I think the human being is always a human being, but unfortunately, as we have seen, there is a shortage and it's a huge deficit of medical care workers. It's better for me that a robot takes care of me than no one. Yeah.
Thank you for the answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Sandra, you can go with the last step.
Okay. If there are no more questions, then we can slowly wrap it up, I guess. So for anyone who joined, thank you. And hopefully we'll see you on some other event. Speakers, much appreciated that you came here to educate us on these topics. And hopefully we'll have you on some other event too. Josephine, maybe Bruna also wants to have a live event. Josephine should have been on DevFest last year, but she got sick, unfortunately. So yeah, maybe we'll meet live again. Okay, Yurai is saying bye and thanks for these nice presentations. You're welcome, Yurai. Hopefully we'll see you again. Yeah, next event, 7th February, Flutter Croatia and GDG Zagreb together. And then at the end of February, we have something very special coming up. Haven't yet announced it. Marco is on that. And yeah, have a great day.
Thank you very much once again also for hosting me and for your invitation to be a presenter. Thank you once again, and nice meeting you, Josephine.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a great evening.
Thanks for listening, and hope to see you soon alive. Sorry, alive. Yeah, alive and in public. Yeah, alive, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Bye.